experience. These are the episodes of the Gamer's Frontier to boldly talk gaming into your ear. These are the Gamer Men.
Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Gamer Men. I'm the Earth Nerd known as Mike.
And I'm Firestorm, aka Kyle.
And this being the new, improved, possible version of the Gamer Men, being we're now on thegamermen.co.uk with over 400 hits in the space of a month and a half. We thought, well, there must be the views there for us to go for a domain. That and the fact we have
followers as well. Thank you.
And thank you very much to everybody who's followed and does continue to follow. We're also now able to have the MP3 formats of the podcasts up on the web, so you can now actually download it and stick it on your iPhone, your iPad, or wherever else you would like to stick it to be able to listen to. We've decided that after a bit of hiatus on not doing these podcasts, that we had troubles with the website, as some people might have noticed. It was pulled down a few days ago due to some nice person over in India deciding to hack through the site. And we've also decided to split through the episodes, since we seem to be able to talk and ramble on for God knows how long. We've decided to split it into several sections. We've got an episode for news, an episode for a feature, which if anybody would care to give suggestions, please feel free to send in a contact or put a comment underneath the on the website or indeed on Facebook with regards to what you would like us to do a topic on the feature. And on top of that, we're going to be having 10-minute reviews. These are going to be short bursts in 10 minutes of a review on whatever games or technology that is gaming related. Obviously, Kyle, I think, is going to be doing the technology side of things, because he seems to be a bit of a technophobic person with that.
I have my slight tendencies to lean towards the techie side of life.
Yeah. And basically, the other thing we're going to be doing is a game of, like a Hall of Fame. This Hall of Fame being for video games, obviously. So there'll be a game of fame, whereby once a month we pick a game that could be from anywhere yonder, from when video games first started, i.e. from Pong upwards, to 6 months before that month. We can't, we're not going to make it where a brand new game comes out and that immediately gets the game of the month. We're going to make it wait 6 months, and if it's still as good 6 months down the line, then it'll be put in. Likewise, we're going to have a game of shame. Basically, this would be games that we deemed to be either completely avoidable, do not play, or has been really, really poor on previous versions. Judy.
Or really good on previous versions, and then they've decided basically to bring out this entire lump of shite.
Yeah, exactly.
To ruin everybody's day.
Also, we're going to try and curb the language in these things, because we're hopefully going to be sticking them up on iTunes. I am trying to find a nice little bleeping noise instead of just a normal bleep. I'm trying to find some sort of video game related short that could be used as a bleeping.
It is Tourette's Awareness Month.
Yes.
Although I haven't got Tourette's, I do swear quite a bit.
We do apologise there for anybody who does actually have Tourette's. We don't mean anything by it.
Yeah, sorry.
So anyway, this particular episode is actually going to be regarding icons of video games. That can be anything from the iconic characters to possibly iconic game that maybe that you could say helped change the face of video games. One of the first and probably most iconic characters in that would be Pac-Man, also one of the most iconic video games as well. Obviously, the only Pac-Man game that I've played has been on the Xbox Live Arcade.
I've played it on the Nintendo series. I've played it on some of the Game Boy series. I've had a good crack at it on most of the titles and most of the game consoles. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourites, but it's definitely one that takes me back to the childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that there was, what was it? There was because Pac-Man was so popular, they thought, well, what we'll do is we'll stick a bow on the top of it and call it Miss Pac-Man. You had a Ms. Pac-Man game on the, I think it was the Amiga was the first one to actually have that one.
Yeah.
So obviously there's the Pac-Man's probably what you would call one of the most retro styled, icons that you could just you could literally just use an icon for and prompt someone and go, that's Pac-Man. For all he is, he looks like a circle with a piece of pie missing.
I did enjoy that game, even though that it is now a classic.
It's still enjoyable.
Yeah, it's still enjoyable. I still think it's one that should be played by, not necessarily the older generation of gamers, but
anyone and everyone should play this. I mean, the Metro Centre around not far from where I live, obviously up in the northeast, because you can tell from my accent. The arcade machine in there, they have a new sort of take on Pac-Man, and 4 people can play at once as Pac-Man, and you can bump each other into the ghosts and stuff as well. So it's still got the same core, but they've changed a variation on it slightly. Another icon of retro style, if you want to call it, would be Space Invader. Everybody knows what the Space Invader looks like. It's used all over the place. If you wanted to name a symbol for a video game, you would get a Space Invader.
Yeah. The other thing is that iconic sound. Do 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 do. How many bloody hours are we sat listening to that?
True. But another one of the ones that would be you could turn on and say that would be Tetris on the Game Boy though.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not, is it? What was the theme tune for Tetris?
Do
you know what it is? I've actually got a heavy metal version of that on my phone for. And so yeah, it's it's that's. I mean, Tetris has to be one of the biggest selling games, especially on handheld systems, because I mean, it was on the what was it? It was on the Game Boy. It was on the NES.
Game Boy Advance, NES, SNES, bleeding Nintendo 64.
Yes, it came out as Tetrisphere on the N64 because they thought it was clever and tried to change it. They also did Tetris Blast on the Xbox and PlayStation. So, and then obviously on top of that, you've had many iterations from that, like Columns. You've got the Super Puzzle Fighter, Sonic the Hedgehog Mean Bean Machine. So you've got a few others, and obviously, speaking of icons, one of the most recognisable icons from the 80s has got to be Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Sonic came out after Mario, and actually Mario, not many people know, was actually in Donkey Kong. And he was the guy that went around with a mallet. The only reason Mario ended up with the moustache was Miyamoto's actually said that it was supposed to distinguish the gap between his nose and his mouth in Donkey Kong, which obviously another iconic game.
You're telling me about that. It's still a fascinating little mini fact.
Yeah, it's interesting though. These daft little things that you don't normally think about of how and where these games come up from. It's like obviously Mario came out on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and when Sega released the Sega Genesis or Mega Drive, as most people will know it as, they released Sonic the Hedgehog alongside of it, and Sonic was brought out in direct competition with Mario, and it helped actually pull Sega into the winnings, for that in that generation.
Yeah, I definitely do think Sonic was more played across the nation than Mario by far. I definitely bought into the Sonic fan base when it was the battle between Sonic versus Mario. I was definitely backing Sonic just because I spent so much time playing that as opposed to the other one. And I think you wouldn't necessarily play one more than the other unless you preferred it, so that's my excuse anyway.
Yeah, effectively it's exactly the same thing. Run through a level and jump on something's head.
Yeah, oh yeah.
The only difference is you either be some fat plumber running along and sitting on Toadstool's head, or you run at stupid speeds.
Yeah, missing half the things you should have noticed.
Yeah. And but the thing I used to like about the Sonic games was there was about 4 or 5 different routes you could take through the level. And with Mario, there was obviously run along, jump, run along, jump, run along, jump. So, but yeah, Sonic and Mario have been massive rivals for quite a few years, and then when obviously, when Sega decided that they weren't going to be doing any more consoles, Sonic started appearing in games with Mario, like I think it was Sonic and Mario Olympics was the first game where they were both in the same game together.
Yeah, that was on the Wii, weren't it?
Yep. Well, it's not going to be on anything else because Nintendo will put it on anything else, will they?
Right.
And so yeah, it's
probably going to bring out a variation of which on the new Wii console that might be coming out hopefully soon.
Yeah, they reckon that's going to be out at the end of the year, but it's not as powerful as what Nintendo has said it is. But E3 will explain more. Mario, obviously, as I mentioned, first appeared in Donkey Kong, got his own series, and went on to spawn, I think it was 3 games before the Super Nintendo. And from then, he's gone from strength to strength. One of his worst games, and a lot of people will probably say this, is Mario Sunshine because it doesn't stick to the Mario format. One of the best Mario games ever was Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo, which was actually bundled with the console. And the other one would have been Super Mario 64.
Yeah.
Which obviously was the first sort of game, and still stands proud to this day as being one of the best sort of 3D games where the camera angle doesn't screw up as much. And
square-eyed watching it for hours.
Well, you probably went square-eyed when looking at Tomb Raider.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody knows what Tomb Raider is, or should I say, everybody knows who Lara Croft is. I think they went over the top and everything as the games went on. Our breasts got bigger and the story just got more and more daft as it went on.
She got altered dramatically over the years. Over the past 5 years, I think it is. Not, the whole length and breadth of the series, but definitely over the past 5 years, there's been a dramatic increase in not only chest size, but the fact that the game has got more stupid. It used to be more puzzle based, and you ran around and you smashed a lot of skeletons, and then you climbed up and solved the puzzle, or you went to go find things.
Well, it was more about solving puzzles, though, wasn't it? If you think about it, at the end of the day, it's you would probably spend maybe 5-10 minutes trying to work something out, and then you go, oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
Whereas as the games progressed, they became more and more shooty.
More shooty, more stupid proof, basically.
But it'd be interesting to see, I mean, Tomb Raider, the reboot that was announced last year at E3, that has actually been put back to next year. till the beginning. I think it's January when it comes out now at the moment.
Yeah, I've noticed because I've got it on pre-order.
And that does look really good. So I'll be keeping my eye out on that. And
You're looking forward to it.
yeah, I thought it was quite interesting the way that went. The video went on it, and you know, it's not on. A lot of people can actually turn around and say that they've took a gaming franchise that was absolutely so big that had lost popularity, and looks like it's going to kick off big style again. Do you know what I mean? I mean.
Yeah.
They did that with Mortal Kombat last year. You can now get the complete edition for about £25, which gets you the original game with all the DLC that came out for it. And they went back to basics with that, and they basically wiped the slate clean, and they can start a new sort of storyline. And obviously, two of the most popular characters out of that would be Scorpion and Sub-Zero. I mean, Scorpion and Sub-Zero could probably hold off their own game in it. If that's...
Yeah, actually rolled off in their own game somewhere along the line.
I know there was that diabolical one of Sub-Zero Mythologies or something like that on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
But, I mean, even Jack's got his own game. Liu Kang, believe it or not, one of the best games I actually played that wasn't a direct Mortal Kombat game was Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. That was out on the... I don't know if it came out on the Xbox, but it was out on the PlayStation 2. If you haven't played it, that's one game I would seriously recommend you play, because it felt like it was an old style side-scrolling beat 'em up, like Streets of Rage, which is still a pretty iconic Sega game. And there's rumour has it that they're going to be releasing that a remake of that or something.
I've still got Streets of Rage on my Xbox.
Believe it or not, I've actually got the Streets of Rage 1 on the Mega Games cartridge, and I've got Streets of Rage 2. And if you have Streets of Rage 3 on the Mega Drive, with the box and the cartridge and the instruction manual, you're looking at around about £50.
Yeah.
Average £50. It's going on eBay. It's ridiculous.
But it is a collector's item now, the old school games.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like you had Mortal Kombat was more popular on the Mega Drive than it was on the on the Super Nintendo, which obviously meant that on the Super Nintendo you had Street Fighter. A few of the most iconic characters in that: Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, E-Honda, I think it was M. Bison or something, wasn't it? And what was the one that had the Wolverine claw and the mask?
I'm struggling with the names, same as you.
Vega. Was it? Those are the more. Then you had Guile as well, who was the American Marine.
Guy or whatever it is.
Guile. You had. I remember getting one of the. What was it? I think what was the saying? Street Fighter is the only game that had a movie made out of it, but then they've made a game out of the movie out of the game.
Yeah.
I think that is the. I mean, how much iconism do you want to get with that? Mind you, the game was diabolical, but the only reason to play it is to watch the sprite of Kylie Minogue. Apparently.
I think the only reason why I still play it is just because I'm really, really bored.
Well, it's not that. I mean, you don't get the games like that anymore. I mean, Tekken was absolutely huge. It brought the mold and brought fighting into sort of a 3D environment compared to what was already out, which is where Street Fighter started failing. Mortal Kombat tried it and failed massively. So then obviously Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat have both had big reboots, which the market started coming flooded with beat 'em ups again. And then
I still think the best Mortal Kombat was on the Wii. I think it was Conquest on the Wii. That's the one that I spent most of the time playing.
They actually voted before the most recent Mortal Kombat. They actually voted that Mortal Kombat 2 was actually the best Mortal Kombat game to ever come out.
That was only my opinion, mate.
No, I'm saying no. That's what they actually voted. I'm not saying, you know, you're not allowed to have your own opinion. I mean, personally, I actually enjoyed Mortal Kombat 3 a little bit more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But graphical-wise, Mortal Kombat 2 was the better one. But there was only 1 year between Mortal Kombat and then Mortal Kombat 2 coming out, and then I think there was 2 years between Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3. Another character that is a big icon, more so probably in Japan than anywhere else, is Mega Man. And I don't really know an awful lot about him because I've never really played any of the games. I've seen a few bits and pieces, and I know there's a cartoon of old kicking around.
I haven't got any experience playing it either, mate, so I'm a bit stuffed on that one.
But, I mean, it's how, you know, he's some robotic android type of thing with a gun on one arm and a human hand for another arm on the other arm. So, it very popular. I think they've got Mega Man 12 or 13 now. He started way back on the Nintendo Entertainment System, which goes to show you must be some kind of iconic character to still be kicking around after all these years.
Yeah.
You know.
I remember seeing it quite a bit, just don't remember actually playing it.
Yeah. Wait, another one that I saw around quite a bit but never really played that much of it was Super Metroid. And a lot of people were so shocked when this one came out because you were playing through the whole game as this character in a spacesuit, and obviously you assumed it was a male, and at the end of it, turns out to be a female.
Takes a helmet off and it's like, holy shit, you go.
Yeah.
Brilliant. No.
It broke the mold as well. I mean, it's a very, very good platform puzzler. Albeit I get very frustrated and peeved off with it that, you know, I give up with it. And it's one of the very few games that I've actually had to give up even to this day. I've got it on the Super Nintendo still.
I've got it on the Wii.
I still can't get past, you know, the same bit, you know, so it's a bit of a nightmare.
I actually did that. I spent about an hour doing this certain boss the hard way, only to realise I would have killed him in one shot if I had used this special missile.
Yeah. It's weird when you find things out like that. One of the most frustrating parts of the game that I've ever played was in Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time on the N64. Anybody who's actually played this game will tell you the worst part about that game is the water temple. Because you're forever raising and lowering the water to get through it, to be able to get back out of it. And you could spend days in it if you didn't know what you were doing with it.
I don't think many people did spend days in it.
I did.
I did as well.
And but it goes to show you, I mean, Link is one of the most popular Nintendo characters. Started out as a side scroller, like I think he was a side scroller in the original one. And then obviously one of the ones that I know of that brought Zelda to the forefront was Link to the Past, I think it was, on the Nintendo 60, not the Nintendo 64, that was the Ocarina of Time. It would have been the Super Nintendo. And then obviously you had Link's Awakening on the GameCube. And then, I mean, this is just going from my experience. And then obviously you had the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which took about 4 or 5 years to come out.
Yeah, which I bought into and still got it on the Wii to this day.
No, that's the Wii. I'm on about the N64. It came out on the N64, but it was released on the Wii as one of these downloadable games, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Because you had the Twilight Princess came out on the Wii, but it also came out on the GameCube.
I think I've got Twilight Princess somewhere knocking around.
I think the last one that I played properly would have been the Wind Waker one, you know, where he looked like an anime character.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant. It was brilliantly stylized and everything, and it's I don't know. A lot of people slagged it off, saying that it should have been more realistic and whatnot. But I think it was brilliant. The story in it was fantastic. Everything about it was just, you could not fault it really, like most of the Zelda games. Then you had the Twilight Princess, which everybody was over the moon that he'd gone to more realism type of thing. But for whatever reason, I just could not get into the Twilight Princess, and I was so gutted.
The one thing that I found is a really funny fact about the Twilight Princess. There's a hack program called Weebrew, which allows you to download these knockoff games off the internet. And the initialization disc that started this bloody hack program was Zelda Twilight Princess. And that's, I think I was talking to one of the blokes in game that actually, works in game. And he was saying half the people that bought that game were doing it just for the Weebrew.
Yeah. But I mean, it was actually bundled with the console as well, so it was, one of those sort of games that would have been picked up anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, Zelda took 5 years to come out or something like that, didn't it? Ocarina of Time on the N64. It was about 3 or 4 years before it actually came out, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Mind you, saying that, one of the games I would love to see a remake of, tell exactly the same story, keep everything pretty much the same, just change a few little pieces, just to make it like a bit fresh, would be Final Fantasy VII. Obviously, I've played previous Final Fantasies, they were alright. I've played pretty much every one of them since Final Fantasy VII, apart from I haven't played the one that came out on the PlayStation, which was 12. Haven't played that one, and I haven't played 13 as yet, because a lot of people have put me off saying, there's about an hour's worth of a tutorial in it, but Final Fantasy VII has to be the pinnacle of Final Fantasy games, just based on the amount that you cared for each character and how in depth the whole story was, and I mean, it had so many key moments in that game. It was unbelievable. I mean, I remember a lot of people had spent so long building Aerith up, or Aerith, depending on where you're from, and she ends up getting killed by Sephiroth. You're like, they've killed off a main character. They can't do that, And
I remember being one of the people going, "You can't kill her."
Yeah, I was half expecting you finding some way to bring her back to life, but you can't. That's it. She's gone, dead, finito.
I thought they would have. I was anticipating them to go, "Oh yeah, you go here and you do this, and yeah, you can revive her."
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope, can't do it. One of my favourite characters in that though was Tifa and Vincent. Those two characters were my favourite. Two of my favourite characters in it. Vincent, just because I like the vampires and stuff like that, but I thought he was a pretty cool character and you had to go and find him. Whereas obviously Tifa was the kind of love interest. And obviously you had these sort of fanboys going, Tifa's the best, Aerith is the best, and you would have them bickering and arguing who they would take to bed, and I'd say, hang on a minute, guys, it's a computer game, and it's not often I mean, how many people would turn around and say they wanted to take a Princess Peach to bed? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know a few.
I love Chun-Li, I've taken her to bed tonight, you know. And, mind you, I have heard the rumour of a Chun-Li sex doll going about, so in a sense you could take her to bed.
There's quite a few sex dolls that's come out in Japan, I think. I don't know how I know this. I think it's a friend of a friend told me.
Well, I think then that could also be known as bullshit as well.
It could very well be a shite load of crap.
Mind you, talking about characters that love the whole thing of loves women, not as much as he loves himself. Started off as 2D side-scrolling shoot 'em up. Had 2 games of that come out, and then because of the success of Wolfenstein and Doom, which were the first 2 sort of FPS games, first-person shooters for people who don't know what FPS is that Duke Nukem 3D came out, and it was such a huge hit. Whether or not that was because you could just throw money at the strippers, or
mostly because you can throw money at the strippers.
Well, actually, believe it or not, on the PC, you could get the strippers to actually flash and stuff, but obviously because it was very, very pixelated. Whereas if they did that now, I think there would probably be some form of censoring on it.
More of a pity, but still.
And you had some of the best lines ever, which was it opens up with a plane, a ship going down or something, and with Duke Nukem saying it's time to kick ass and chew bubblegum, except I'm all out of gum.
Oh yeah,
that's got to be one of the most iconic scenes in video games history.
Yeah.
So another one that's one of the most iconic things is you've got to catch them all. Pokemon. Whether or not that was helped along by the crazy fact that they had 2 games out that had exactly the same Pokemon in, except it had 1 different Pokemon in, and you had to go out and spend £30 to get both games each, £30 per game, and then go around and collect every one of these Pokemon.
Just so you can...
that you had every single one of them.
Yeah. And even then you didn't exactly get a very good reward for when you did spend, basically most of your life playing these games.
I remember I lent it off my mate when I went down to Manchester for a works do. He lent us it so I had something to do on the night. What I didn't realise is that it only lets you have 1 save, and I started a new game. Like all these characters, all these Pokemon off, and I was like, I didn't realise that.
Most popular bloke at work ever.
That was one of the lads I used to go to school with. So yeah, you had that was such a phenomenon. It was absolutely bizarre, but I think that was actually helped along by sort of like the Saturday morning TV with Ant and Dec, promoting it and doing the daft little sketches that they used to do before Pokemon episodes. I mean, over in Japan, apparently they've got these Poke Centres where they look like a blooming Pokemon ball or whatever. You can go in, you can buy your Pokemon game, you can buy Pokemon tat, basically.
Yeah, I've still got my Pokedex, and I will admit to that. I am 25 years old and I can still find my Pokedex.
Poke what?
Yeah.
Poke-a-dick?
Pokedex. It's a little computer device that Ash used to run around with that identified Pokemon. And yes, I am that nerdy.
I never got into Pokemon. I was more of a Digimon.
Oh, Digimon, yeah, I remember
Digimon, the digital monsters.
Yes, I remember them.
Yeah, that was quite good. I used to enjoy watching that on a Saturday morning. Of more recent time, though, what would you say is excuse me, sneeze. A more iconic character for yourself, what few sort of characters would you say are more iconic of the more sort of recent generation of consoles?
Oh, there's the recent generation. The ones that I've been playing on the PlayStation have been the Killzone characters, but the ones on Xbox are the recent ones of stuff like Master Chief from the Halo series.
Yep, one of the most iconic characters. You just need to stick a helmet out there and it's the Master Chief.
Yeah.
You know.
How many different Halo fanboys went out and got the special edition just so they can have his helmet and then realise they can't actually stick it on their head.
I know somebody who actually tried to stick it on the head of their dog.
Yeah.
By all means, it was a small dog.
So many people actually tried sticking it on their toddler and then walking into A&E with with the kid's head jammed in this.
My son wanted to be Master Chief. I can't rip it off the head. I'm sorry, sir, but we're going to have to break your helmet in two. I've just paid £100 for that.
Yeah, that's the one.
Well, you shouldn't have stuck it on your kid's head, sir, should you? But Halo has to stand out as if the first-person shooter for games consoles as Doom and Wolfenstein was for it on the PC, because Halo effectively brought first-person shooters to the console successfully. And it's still going. Halo 4's out this year, hopefully.
I'm really enjoying Halo Reach.
Still.
Links on our site to the review of Halo Reach.
Yeah, there's a review up on our site, and hopefully there'll be a 10-minute review coming around somewhere or other when we can be bothered to get up our backsides and take the thumb out and stop twiddling them on the game controllers for games and stuff. Another one that I think would have been a good one for the more recent sort of generation is Assassin's Creed, the Altair and Ezio. Desmond doesn't come anywhere near it because...
No, Desmond is shite.
Cat.
He was... I think the whole thing about the Assassin's Creed series, we've got Ezio, we've got Altair, and then we've got Desmond. Now, it seems that as you're playing the game, 90% of the game is you're either Ezio or Altair.
Yeah.
Desmond comes into the whole game about what? The whole of
the equivalent of a pay break.
Out the whole first game, and then maybe moves on a bit more on the second and third.
Yeah, well, we don't know about the third one yet, do we? I know the spin-offs of Brotherhood and the Diabolical Revelations.
Yeah,
You've got to play a bit more as Devin, but remains to be seen what they do with the third one. Although they have built the engine up from scratch, I was
the thing about the Assassin's Creed series. I was very put off with their latest piece of crap, Revelations. But I will be buying the third one just because it's under new people have done it. They've got new engines, they've got the American Civil War, which, even if you're not American, is a huge milestone in history, and it doesn't matter where continent you come from, it's still a decisive, stepping stone in history that people need to explore, need to be there or feel like they're there through this game.
Yeah,
Give the history nuts a definite plus side.
Well, the other thing is, they started making Assassin's Creed 3 straight after they finished Assassin's Creed 2. So that's why Brotherhood and Revelations looks like it's got exactly the same engine as Assassin's Creed 2. So, one of the games that's changed and reinvented itself of recent years is Splinter Cell. It went from being one of these games where you had to sneak around and whatnot. It went to you still had to sneak around and everything, but you had to make choices which would affect the game, which obviously was Double Agent. And then obviously Splinter Cell Conviction is quite possibly one of the best Splinter Cell games. You still need to use stealth in it, but you've got to use it at speed.
Yeah, you have the ability in the latest one to either go guns blazing, and you will fuck up the entire bloody map because everybody will know you're there. But you have that option. You can go in guns blazing, have a laugh, and then go back and redo it the more sneaky way now that you found everything and killed everybody. It gives you another option, another way of doing that game from the start that you wouldn't necessarily be able to do on the previous ones, because as soon as you get discovered on the previous ones, the whole world was out to kill you. Literally, everybody was out to shoot you. So, the latest and greatest ones, as Mike's just mentioned, you've got Double Agent, which is one of my favourites, if not the favourite. I know Conviction is is more the modern one. It's a very, very good game. It's a very enjoyable game. I do like the Double Agent just because of the options that you could do. You could go entirely siding with the terrorists, or you could entirely go siding with the CIA or whatever it is that's controlling you. The missions themselves that you could go on with that game are brilliant. I'm not going to go into detail and spoil it for you, but yeah, definitely the iconic character of Sam Fisher is one to be remembered for future generations.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most recognisable characters just from a front cover, you wouldn't even have to put a title on it, is the Killzone one. So it's the actual look of the Killzone, the whole face mask and everything. Because to me, that looks like some bloody horror film from World War II. I've never played them, so I wouldn't know.
Well, this is where I take over, mate, because it is a PlayStation exclusive. First came out on the PS2 for the good old boys that remember it.
Nope, never played on that.
And goes you. Yeah, PS2, the first one came out, really different. There weren't a lot of games. I mean, there were games that were set in the future. I mean, of course there were. But this one was the one that really blew all the others out of the water. As Mike's mentioned, Mike has just played on the Xbox, and even he noticed the big red bulging eyes and the black masks that, I see where he's coming from, sort of look like one of the gas masks from World War II.
Yeah, I always used to think somebody must have farted on the front of that box.
Yeah.
Well, you never know. It could have been Kratos from God of War. He's white as a sheet. He must have had too many curries. He's got that red mark down the front of his face. Must have been eye strain from trying to squeeze one out. And obviously, he must have cut one. I mean, he is a god or demigod or whatever. And he's. I mean, his farts must be godly. Jesus, I wouldn't like to smell one of them.
Yeah. Right. Let's go back onto the games before we divulge into toilet talk.
Well, before it gets too flatulent.
Yeah. Killzone then evolved onto Killzone 2, which was on the PS3, I think, now. That was another iconic stepping stone between the first and the third one, that moved on the storyboard, it developed further, the missions were along the same lines, but they were a hell of a lot more in-depth. Just trying to kill the generals or whatever, main character the enemy side was very much enjoyable. But the thing is that got me, the second one and the third one, is you couldn't play as the Helgen. Now the first one, you could actually play as a Helghast, which is the baddie basically. You could play as the character, or one of the characters, that used to be a Helghast that then turned over to be the ISA. And I think it's ISA anyway, that is the goodies. Or the human marines, or whatever you want to call them. But you could play as a Helghast character on a group of ISA soldiers, which give the game. I always play through it on that character. It gives the game a new depth and a new outlook towards war. All these characters have been, they're born in that, far off planet, and then they've switched sides, realizing, for them that's the better choice, and that in a game, that actually come across in a game really well. As a choice people have to make for themselves in that game. What do you want to do? It is entirely, even though you're fighting the Helghast, what character do you choose? They lost that capability, and I thought they really did lose a bit of the magic in the second and third one. But the overall, definitely, although it is not one character, I would say is a
horde of characters, with it being these bloody gas masks and those give big red eyes. So anything I can remember about it, that's what makes this. That's what I would say would make it an iconic game. It's a recognisable character straight off the bat.
The Helghast character, it's the Helghast mask, yeah. And they're the ones that everybody associates. They're the legendary characters, if you want to call them that. They're definitely the most memorable. They're the ones that I've enjoyed fighting, I've enjoyed playing on the first one. Really legendary, really ones to take note about and keep in the record books as one of the more interesting games and one of the best games for the PlayStation and unique to the PlayStation.
Yeah, I mean, another game that was unique to the PlayStation was God of War, and Kratos, as I mentioned before, is one of the most iconic characters with him. To me, he looks a lot like Quan Chi, with a red flicking across his eye rather than two big black stripes. Have you ever played any of the God of War games?
I've had a look at the demo, that's about as much as I have, and I know that's a bit silly considering I used to be a PlayStation fanboy, but I could never get into him. I played Heavenly Sword, and I thought the God of War was a bit too much like the Heavenly Sword.
Do you not mean that the other way around? God of War's been out years before Heavenly Sword came out.
Probably the other way around, mate, but my point's still valid. For myself, really.
Would you say Kratos is one of the most recognisable characters in video games of the modern day?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, anybody that walks into a game or game station or one of the big, gaming groups that, these places where you just take your gaming console and there's a load of other gamers all sat around a table.
I think they call them LANs or something, mate.
Yeah, I've forgotten what they call them, mate. It's been a long time since I've been in one.
I know, I'm just saying. It's,
I know.
Handbags are 20 paces?
Yeah.
Actually, hang on, wait a minute. Master Systems are 20 paces. But I mean, another game that came out on the PlayStation that I've never actually played, which has an iconic character, and it kind of broke the mould a bit as well, was Little Big Planet. The idea being where you build your level up yourself and then you play through it. No idea how that works. Never played it. I thought it was a really, really good concept and a good idea. Never played it before, so... I
have sort of a love-hate relationship with Little Big Planet. I played it, I really enjoyed it, and then it sort of got very much sort of the...
Samey.
Yeah, it got samey. I know it was enjoyable, but it did get samey. You didn't so much... You could go off and build your own map and build your own world, but as you're playing through the main game itself, you had to find all these little stickers, and then you could use the stickers to stick onto characters to move further on in the game if you anybody that's played it will recognise what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I hated it.
One of the most, one of the most recognisable characters these days, from a particular game over in Japan. It started out on the Nintendo Entertainment System, I think it did. Went onto the NES and hit the big time with Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation. Now I remember everybody coming out with a running joke, "You can't see me, I'm a cardboard box."
Yeah. Yeah. Brilliant series. I've got all of them to this day. The only ones I haven't got is because I'm on Xbox now. I haven't got Metal Gear Solid 4, which, truth be told, is a big stepping stone in the Metal Gear Solid series. One of the more iconic ones. But they have just brought out a brand new one.
I know there's Metal Gear Solid Rising coming out on the 360.
Yeah.
So
they're banging out more of them.
Yeah.
And I think they should have stopped a long time ago because they've ruined it now.
It's they're doing. It's like Guitar Hero and a few of the other series which I'm not going to mention, where obviously they start to get diluted because of too many of the same game, rather than waiting several years before releasing a new one with extra bits into it. They release far too many one after the other. I know Metal Gear Solid 2 apparently was plagued constantly with the fact that you had so many long, large cutscenes in it.
Yeah.
Which put a lot of people off. I mean, I started playing it, and I got bored after half an hour because I wasn't playing the frigging game. If I wanted to watch a movie, I'd stick a DVD on.
It did have a bucket load of cutscenes on it.
Well,
the fighting in it wasn't all that good. I enjoyed it, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. I just thought it only got good when the big shell, which is the first part of the game, got destroyed, and then you started actually fighting on the Metal Gear, or big ship thing, whatever you want to call it.
Not the big tanker ship that you were on at the beginning.
No, not the tanker ship, later on.
Ah, right.
See,
I didn't have the patience to play it that long. I got annoyed at it.
Yeah, first part was the tanker ship, second part was the big shell, which is the oil refinery, or whatever the hell it were. And then the third part was a big mechanical futuristic ship thing that was developed by some form of military as transportation for the Metal Gear units.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with it is, I mean, it's, to me, Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation, it broke the mold, you had to hide, I thoroughly enjoyed playing that one. I remember the old trick, if you wanted to do the one that could read your mind about whatever key, you had to stick your controller in on the other control pad and move about using that. Daft little tricks like that made it, an excellent game.
Oh yeah, it made it unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another game that kind of broke the mold and redefined a genre and everything, and we do keep going on about this one, is Call of Duty 4. Two of the most iconic game characters in that being Price and Soap, and obviously will constantly go on till we're blue in the faces, the Gillies in the Mist level.
God, yeah.
Plus, the multiplayer on COD 4 was, apart from it being hacked constantly.
Yeah, and everybody walking around with RPGs and jumping 20 million feet in the air and then killing you with one bullet because everybody decides, oh yeah, we all need to be the best and hack it. And ruin the game for everybody else.
But the campaign mode on that is, to this day, it's still the best Modern Warfare campaign.
Yeah, the best campaign, the best online.
To be honest with you, out of all three of them, I think it's still got the best graphics.
Yeah.
It's
the best of the best, and you can pick it up from a fiver.
Exactly. It's the one that Frank, is it Zampella or whatever he's called, and I can't remember the two guys that were the head of Infinity Ward that got the boot on the in March 2010, but that's due to go to court next week, or in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to find out what actually happened as well.
Yeah.
One of the biggest games of this generation, that's out in this generation, that has one of the most recognisable characters is Bioshock, and that being the Big Daddy character.
The Big Daddy character, yeah.
And
not the main character, not the most interesting character, but the most
iconic,
recognisable, big symbol of power that used to wander through the game.
Scare the living crap out of you and all, because they used to come out of nowhere.
Living daylights out of me, It used to, whenever you annoyed it always used to make this high-pitched, squeaky sound that, if you're sneaking around or you're just trying to kill a load of people, whenever you hear that sound, it always used to make you crap yourself, because you're just going to get punched in the face in a minute.
What I used to think, I didn't think much of Bioshock, to be honest with you, when I first started playing the demo and everything. I think I actually rented it or borrowed it off somebody. I thought it was quite good to begin with. It fully immerses you in it. But I always kind of got a bit lost in it and then got annoyed, and that's why I've never been able to stick to Bioshock to get right the way through. I've tried doing it 3 or 4 times, and each time I get a little bit further into it. And you can pick it up for less than a £5, and even though I didn't complete it, I probably didn't even get halfway through it. Because obviously there's other games come out and my attention span goes off to them. But I would say Bioshock, if you've not played it and you like first-person shooters, or you like games that you can get immersed into, I would say get yourself Bioshock. The game is fantastic.
Get yourself, the one thing I would say though, because I'm a big Bioshock fan, get yourself the first one. If you like the first one, you will adore the second one. I don't know what it is about it, but the second one is better.
Well, they took the original and added more to it, even though it's set as a prequel, I think, isn't it?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
And obviously, I'm leaving the last iconic character in our view till last. He was well known. He was humorous, and my gamer tag has been pulled from it. His name. There's a HD remix. He came out on the N64. And it was the guy, was it Dave Perry, I think it was, worked for Shiny at the time.
Yeah.
They just finished working on Aladdin and went on to create this next one. The main character's best friend is Peter Puppy. His villains, or the villains in it, there was Evil the Cat. There was Evil the Cat. There was Professor Monkey for a head. Bob the Fish. Whatever the cat was called. That he used to carry him around. You used to be able to ride on a hamster. Yeah. Psycro was another one of the villains. He always turned up in the Andy Asteroids, where you used to ride around on your jetpack. I'd love to see them either do Earthworm Jim 2 for the console on the, on the arcade and everything. But Earthworm Jim, to me, is quite possibly one of the best characters who hasn't really had that much love and attention poured into him than most other characters have. He had his own TV show, which was much better than the Sonic the Hedgehog one or the Mario one. And unfortunately, you can't seem to find it anywhere on DVD at the moment. But you had Princess What's Her Name, who was actually super strong and could defend for herself anyway, which defeated the whole object of you going after her. But it turned out that Earthworm Jim loves her, or fancies her, or whatever. And then you've got her evil stepmother, who is festering slug-filled puss. What was it? Festering puss-filled slug for a butt.
Yeah.
Get your tongue round that one.
Listening to this in a pub, try doing it after 2 pints.
Well, I'm halfway down a can of woodpecker, so... and,
I would explain it.
Yeah, and to be honest, the humour was absolutely hilarious in it. I mean, how many times can you squash somebody with a cow?
Oh yeah, or just disintegrate them.
Disintegrate them, and I mean, his most iconic level is probably going to be the first level, which is the junkyard level. Obviously, they went on to do Earthworm Jim 2, which was near the end of the Mega Drive and SNES's lifespan, which is why it wasn't that popular. It's in the second one, he had a thing in his backpack called snot. So that will teach you and tell you how serious they actually took this game. It was a tongue-in-cheek, and you can pick it up on the arcade for about 600 to 800 Microsoft points, and it's just such even to this day, it's such a enjoyable game to play through.
Yeah, it's one that if you are lucky enough to own a older games console,
Mega Drive.
Yeah, Mega Drive, perfect example. Get a Mega Drive just for that game.
That's what happened with me. I put a bid on eBay for Earthworm Jim 1 and 2, won it on the Mega Drive. Thought, great, I'll get me the Mega Drive, and then I started bidding on other games, which is why I've got a nice big collection. And the Earthworm Jim 1 and 2 didn't turn up, and I had to get my money back because the guy never sent it. So I was a bit gutted about that, but Earthworm Jim, possibly one of my most favourite characters ever from video games. Earthworm Jim broke the mold. Obviously the second one didn't do as well, and then obviously the third one, which was Earthworm Jim 3D, which came out on the N64, was a massive flop.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, there's not really any other characters that or games that we could turn around and say that were icons of gaming. If you do have any thoughts of what your icons of gaming might be, you might think of some that we haven't mentioned, or we might have brought back some memories of certain games. Feel free to put comments underneath. There'll be a video up on YouTube. There'll be the MP3 will be up on the website for those that want to download it. This episode, and on top of that, if you haven't already done it so, then sign up to the gamermen.co.uk. That will then give you updates to whenever we put a post up there. Well, we can also be found on Facebook with the Gamermen UK, and we're on Twitter as Gamermen UK, and we're also there on the YouTube as well, which is where quite a lot of people seem to come from to see this, and with a bit of luck we'll gain some more followers and give you insight and possibly a trip down memory lane. I've been the Earth Nerd.
And I've been Firestorm.
And that's the end of this episode. Tune in soon for the next episode, which would be the news.
Yeah, enjoy your gaming, and thank you.